guys, it's Elissa from the Auberger Homestead. Can some green beans with me. First step is to cut and snap your green beans however size you want to can them, and then wash them in warm water, drain them, set aside. Now, since green beans are a low acid food, it is recommended that you pressure can them. So I've got my pressure canner out, and you just want to fill it up with the amount of water that it says to in the manual. I think mine says that it's supposed to be 4 quarts, but I don't even remember anymore because I've used it enough times that with my hard water, I have a permanent like ring stain along the bottom of mine. So I just fill it to that. If you have hard water like me, put a splash of vinegar in there, and that'll help keep your jars clean. Alrighty, go ahead and turn your canner on. We're gonna get that up to a light simmer. Start sanitizing your jars while this is working. There's a lot of different ways that you can sanitize your jars. This is just the way that I do it. What I like to do is I have this big ass pot that I then add boiling water to. Once I've hand washed my jars and made sure that all the rims aren't chipped or anything, I add them to this hot boiling water and I add a splash of vinegar. And now the jars will sit in here until I'm ready for them. I add my lids to a small pot, which I will then bring up to a simmer once I start packing my green beans. I also use this time to prep my workstation so that way I'm all set and ready for when it's go time and the canner is up to temperature. I have the lids I'll be using, my clean utensils, my funnel, my jar grabber, my cleaned green beans, and then a small bowl with white vinegar in it. All right, in your hot sterile jars, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to pack our green beans. They will look something like this when you're done. Now, I like to pack my jars to about this spot here. After we add the hot water to it and we use our little poker to get all the air bubbles out, we might even be able to stuff a little bit more in there. Now we're going to add boiling hot water to these jars, which is another reason why you want to keep these jars hot while you're prepping everything. I have an electric kettle, which I use for mine. Now we're going to add about up to almost that same exact line. That's what I do. I add to about right there. Now at this point you want to take your, I don't even know what they really call this. It came in the kit. It works beautifully. All you're going to do is you're going to feed this guy down in, and I don't know if you can see it, but we're going to get rid of all those air bubbles. As well as this, as you can kind of see, is kind of shifting them around so that way they fit a little bit better. At this point you might be able to even top it off with a couple more green beans. Like so. Once your jars are all filled and just how you like them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a paper towel and dab it in some white vinegar. And we're just going to clean these rims off and make sure that they're spotless. So that way when we put our warm lids on, we won't have any problems sealing. Alright, now I'm going to take my hot lids and I'm going to put them on the jars. I don't have one of the magnetic guys, and I learned once that tongs, or the tongs that I had at least, could scratch them and cause them to rust. So I literally just use wooden chopsticks and then I carefully grab it and get it set just right. Alrighty, now from here I'm going to screw my lids on firmly. I know you've probably heard the term like fingertip tight. My ball book specifically says to do these ones firmly, so that's what I'll do. At this point, it's time to get them in the canner now that our canner is ready. Now that I have them all in here and I have them just the way I want them, I'm going to put the lid on it. Mine seeds, there's like 2 V's that you match. And then we're actually going to fully seal this guy. And we're going to align it. Now what you're going to want to do is watch your little spout. Once you get 10 minutes of solid stream coming out of here, it's going to be time to put our weight on. Now we've got our steady stream, so I'm going to set a 10-minute timer. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, so it's time to put my weight on. Now from here, we're going to bring it up to pressure. It all depends on the level of altitude that you're at. For the level that I'm at, I should really have it about 11 or 12. Alright, canner is up to pressure, which means now I have to maintain this and process these quart jars for 25 minutes. If it was pint jars, it'd be 20. Alrighty, my jars have now processed for 25 minutes, so I've shut off the heat, and now from here, you have to let this pot depressurize naturally. You don't take the weight off, you don't move the lid, you don't disrupt it, you just let this sit here until it goes all the way down to 0, and then in my ball book, which I've always used as like my Bible, says to allow it to sit that way for 2 extra minutes just to be safe. Alrighty, this guy has come all the way down to pressure. I'm going to go ahead and take my weight off, and as you can hear, no hissing, no nothing, so that's perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this lid off, and we're going to let the jars sit inside the pot for 10 more minutes. We'll see these guys in 10 minutes. Alrighty, 10 minutes is up. I removed them from the canner and now they will sit like this on my countertop for at least 12 hours to make sure they come all the way down in temperature appropriately. Now I will remove the outer rings before I store them, and 5 out of the 6 have already sealed before I even took them out of the canner. So this last one will probably pop in the next 15 or 20 minutes and then we're all set. Now I know there's a couple different ways that you can can green beans. Feel free to can them however way suits you and your family best. This is just the way that I do it, and I find a lot of success with it, as well as I like the way that the texture turns out. But either way, thanks for staying tuned and have a beautiful day.